Hello and welcome to a Sunday Reflection. My name is Paul Harvey and this is Life, Passion and Business. We're about helping you explore, finding your passion for life and the work that you do. But it's so much more than that. It's about finding clues to the big life questions. What does it mean to be successful? What is the meaning of life? If you're looking for more, then join me on this journey where together we will discover through interviews, tools and tips how to live life full of meaning, passion and purpose.
The topic today is success. So, as I said last week, I'm going to go through the 5 questions that I use in life, passion and business and explore the questions and why I chose those questions in the first place. So going back to the beginning of the podcast, there were only 3 questions, and it was always passion, success and meaning, because those were the things that I was trying to understand in my own life. And as the podcast has developed, other questions have come in, and we'll come to those in the next couple of weeks. But I thought today we're going to go in sequence, and today is the turn of success. Now, I say this a lot on the podcast about success. I often talk about this because it was the model that I was sold as a child. It was what I was told I need to do. So in school, it was always about study hard. It was always, you need to study hard to get a good job, to be successful in the world. That was what I was told, and that's what every teacher tells you. And to some extent, I can remember even now going to my son's school, my son's primary school, and them talking this is one of the reasons why I am a bit late today, because this rain is persistent over my head, and hopefully it won't be too noisy. So that's why I delayed it, dodging these showers. Right, going back again. So when I was in my, as I said, going to my son's school when he was in primary school, I can remember one of the teachers saying, we have to work with the kids so they're developing skills to be ready for the world of work. And that really shocked me at the time. It shocked me that the school was actually looking to develop skills which they could see, and the importance that they were putting on those skills was that my son was ready for the world of work. And that basically goes back to this whole model that we all must be working to the best of our, or whatever, in order to achieve, to be successful. And it occurred to me at the time, wouldn't it be better to give my son the skills to know how to use his brain, to communicate and get on with other people, to do things that, the skills they were trying to push on him or push into him were the mathematical skills, were the writing skills. And while they are important, I'm not saying they're not important, I don't think they are important, of course, but it just strikes me as that he was too young to be worrying about those. Getting on with people would have been a better challenge for me. But I digress slightly, maybe. But the thing is, as I said, when I was leaving school as such, it was all about this idea that you need to now get a job. And my mother's favourite phrase was, get a job. Doesn't matter what you get, just get a job and stick with it. She was a formidable woman. You didn't argue, really. So I did. I went out and got a job. And I stuck with it. And probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't have got a job either. I probably should have done something else, because my life might have had a different pattern. Hey, but then I wouldn't be here, would I, if my life had a different pattern? I probably wouldn't be doing this. But that was a success model that my generation was sold, and to some extent it still exists. This whole idea of you you do well in your employment, or you find good employment, and then once that's sorted out, you then settle down with, or you find a person who you want to be with, and you settle down. And the buying of property in the UK is around that point, either before that person or with that person. With the economy the way it is over the last few years, it normally is with that person, because most people can't afford to buy a property on their own anymore. But hang on a minute, if you got the good job, you probably could. And then, of course, the children follow. If you're in a heterosexual relationship, maybe not actually. Maybe the children follow regardless these days. I don't know. And then, of course, it's the progression in the job, the role. Family, and ultimately you retire. You have a successful career, and you retire to be able to enjoy your life. And that is the kind of model that a lot of people follow. It's the model that I was definitely sold. And I came to realize that model was somewhat broken. And it's probably broken for a lot of people these days, because the career side of things is quite difficult. For many people, getting beyond a certain point on the ladder is hard. And so they don't achieve those things that they thought they should achieve.
I had some reflections while I was editing this, and one of them was that it's not just the financial stuff that makes people kind of realise that they're not living up to that dream. It's also failed relationships, or not having children. All these kind of things that come up to us in life, or these milestones that we're supposed to have achieved by a certain point, when they don't happen, that leads to disappointment. And then, of course, a re-evaluation of what the model looks like.
So this success model that we're sold somehow is faulty from my perspective. And it's interesting, most of the podcast guests that I have spoken to over the last 2 years all came to that conclusion, that this whole concept of being successful in a company or in the life goals as such really was a bit of a crock. And there needed to be something else. There needed to be something more. And all of them come up with their own means or methods of success. I haven't met anybody who is determined to be ultimately wealthy and would determine that as success. I think everybody I have met who are successful have a good relationship with money. They all see money as important, but they don't see it as an ultimate goal. I suspect, and it would be really interesting to have that conversation actually, for people who are incredibly wealthy, that success... No, actually I'm talking crap. I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that one. I mean, I have heard from people who I've spoken to about success. I've heard and not spoken to them. I've heard it on that when they got a certain level of success, the money was about keeping score. So that's not success, but it is a success model. It's a way of measuring something. So, but it's just like a score sheet. So I don't know, the money and success, there's a really kind of duality, but then this goes about money stories, isn't it? We're into that conversation. Maybe we should talk about that at one stage someday, money stories. But it's this thing about success. Oh, I can see someone that's no, they haven't joined me, they've gone, that's a shame. So yeah, it's this conversation around success, isn't it? About what is it? What does it look like? And goals start popping up in here, because obviously relationships, marriage, children, retirement, these are all goals. And so there's the relationship between success and goals. Now, I mean, if you followed me for any length of time, you know that my kind of approach to life really nowadays is that we're on a quest from birth to death. And goals and things on that quest are signposts along the way. And it's our choice how we choose to live those things. So this, you can see why the success question is so good, because it's such a rich area of conversation. It actually touches on so many aspects of what it is to be human. It touches on the idea of goals. For me, it's this idea of success is now, what's a success for me? Because it does change a bit. It does vary. Success for me is about being content and happy and in flow. I like the idea of being, for me, a successful day for me is completing a lot of jobs and having felt that I have been of value to people, the world, my family and things. I guess that's my measure of success. I heard a nice one this week, actually, from a podcast guest this week. She was saying that for her, success is about deciding what you want and knowing what you want and going and getting it. And I guess that's almost like saying setting a goal, isn't it, in a way? I can see you keep popping in and popping out. Isn't that interesting? Someone comes in and just pops in for a second and goes, I must admit, I do that with people's lives as well, isn't it? Isn't it funny? I do that. I kind of go, yeah, you're not getting it. No, you're not doing it. You're not interesting enough. I'm going. But it is fascinating. It's a fascinating question, success. It opens up so many things. And I put that over to you, really. Like, what is your definition of success? As a podcast listener, you're listening to me talk about this. When was the last time you considered what success meant to you? And I do think it does change over time. I definitely think it changes over time. Because when you get to a certain age, there will some things be successful that will be like, oh dear, I made it to the toilet in time, sort of thing. That would be a success. At the moment, I'm still on the growing side of success. So, for me, it's like, I've planted a garden this year. And for me, what is bloody successful is being able to take salad out of the garden for lunch and tea, for lunch and dinner. And I get a kick out of that. For me, success is repairing something. I love it if I got something that's busted and I fix it. That's success for me. And also, one of my great successes is seeing clients successful, seeing people move forward, which is the big thing for me, really, isn't it? So, that's it really today. That's it. It is that conversation about what does success mean. And you can see why it's such an important question in the podcast. And it will never leave. It will always be part of that. And maybe it's time to explore other questions. I don't know. I'm fascinated really on this whole thing, because this is about the podcast is really about the exploration of the human spirit, what it is to be human on this earth. That's what the podcast is about. And I think the questions that I've got help me explore that. But if someone had came up with a different question, I would love it. What other questions should I be asking people? Anyway, that's enough of me today. I don't know how long I've been speaking for, but it's an interesting journey, and I think I could explore this. And I'll probably start repeating myself if I carry on talking. So perhaps it's best I don't. So this brings me to virtual events. That's me kind of closing up that bit and bring you to the idea of virtual events. So I am running more virtual events through the podcast. That's definitely going to happen. I really enjoyed the last one, and up until last week, I was pretty committed to the next one, what it was going to be. It was going to be a one-day event on the 27th of June. I've now moved that date, and it's going to be a 5-day event, because what I recognised is that if I do an event over 5 days, it gives people more of an opportunity to comment and to take part and to think about the stuff they have discovered on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So it allows for more interaction. And what I like the idea of is making the event a lot more interactive. We can't do live events at the moment where you can meet people and talk to people. So if we can extend the event over a period of time, there's an opportunity to somehow do something more with that. So that's the plan. I am working on that today as it goes Sunday. In the meantime, I would love to hear more from you guys. So look, I have put a survey on the homepage at lifepassionandbusiness.com. It currently is a survey about virtual events or about stuff, but I'm going to change it. I want this survey to be more about what you think of the podcast. I need some feedback on how you guys relate to it, because I can give you better programming if I know what you're looking for, and that would be really useful. Really, it'd be nice to know. And I need the feedback. It's lovely. So look, that's me today. I have been rambling. I have been talking about valuable stuff, because that's what I do as a podcast host. Anyway, that is me. Thank you so much for being with me on this podcast. It's a fantastic journey, and I'm really, really appreciate you listening to it.
And that's it for this Sunday. I'll be back again on Wednesday with a normal interview podcast. My guest is Ross McWilliam, and he is the man that changed 1 million lives. Before you go, quick reminder, if you could pop over to lifepassionandbusiness.com and complete that survey, it will be really, really useful.
So all the best, as I say, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll catch you later.